Yes. So for any of you that are joining us live, which right now I don't think anyone's hopped in yet, but that's all right because you guys are going to get to watch this recording. And so if you're watching the recording, the playback of this, comment hashtag replay in the comments just so that we can see who's jumping in. And I really, really want to see your thoughts today because we're going to be doing this twice a week from here moving forward. At times it'll be myself, at times it'll be guests, and times we'll be inviting other professionals. And I mean, we're just going to be having amazing conversations here that, I mean, I'm a little biased, but I think everyone needs to listen to and participate in. And so whether you're here in person or watching it after the fact, please let us know, and we would love to get your thoughts. Today I have Jacopo here with me. Jacopo is one of
Hello.
my clients. Yeah, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good. Very good. Thanks.
Super excited to have you here. Jacopo has been absolutely killing it as one of my clients in our program in the community. To give you a little background on him, so he is originally from Italy. Well, he is from Italy. He lives in the UK right now, going to school, right? But he has a business. He's an entrepreneur. He's in the financial sector, doing very well for himself, I might say, as well. He's also going to school. He's back to university for financial mathematics. And he's been in Ascension for, what, a month now?
Yeah.
Yep. So a month
Essentially.
ago we spoke, and I have to say, if there's a great example, I'm going to talk you up a little bit here, man. But if there's a great example of what to do when you make a decision to do anything, it's Jacopo. I mean, just all in. He's already completed all the work that I've set out for him to do, and it shows. I mean, I have just watched you totally make massive changes and improvements, and your confidence increase, your vulnerability increase. I mean, all of the above. We're going to be digging into all of this today. Like,
Yeah.
Jacopo is going to give us some examples of how things have played out for him, and some things that I really think that you guys need to know. But without further ado, like, let's dive in. So recently we've been talking about a lot about honesty, secrecy. Why the heck do we lie? Why do we have such a hard time just speaking the truth, like just getting the dang words out, right?
hmm
And so we can obviously talk a bit about that today, but then we'll go from there and just see where the conversation leads us. So again, just really excited for you guys to be watching, and let's rock and roll.
Good. Well, thank you everyone thank you, Hunter, first of all, for the amazing work that you have done into the community. I am very happy to be here today because just a month ago, I came to you, okay, full of worry about my future regarding this habit. Okay. And now, after a month, I need to say that this was by far, okay, the best program that I attended about porn problem, okay, and about in general reframing your personality and your identity to have a better life. Okay, so one of the things that I would like to share is that your program, as you said, has a center, okay, that I like the most around honesty, okay, which you also mentioned before. Basically, the program of Hunter has, I would say, show me, okay, that the root cause of my porn problem and my, I would say, habit was not porn. It has probably nothing to do with that. And I know it sounds very strange, okay, but it is like this. We will discuss this. I will show you also how other aspects of my life have improved, okay, and we will dig into that as well. Yeah, and yeah, regarding the honesty, that's the core solution. Okay, it's understanding and putting your life around authenticity, integrity, honesty, and like being able to really, really, really expose your, I would say, dark side. Yeah, that's how we can
Yeah.
call that the future. At the same time, I've got to say that I kind of knew all of this before the program. Okay, like it was probably it was all over 6 years that I was trying to read information about this thing. It was, I read all the books. I read all of them. You guys probably know, I've read Your Brain on Porn. I've read the scientific side of it. I've read, Jesus Christ, like dopamine addiction, no-fap communities, Reddit communities. I've been with a coach for months to get out from this. I've done it
Right.
all, okay? And yes, I've seen some results, okay? For example, before I joined the community, I would probably say that I was not at the worst of my habit, okay?
Right.
Because I had experience, okay? So I was probably engaged in this activity probably once every 2 months, I would say, okay? But that time that I would engage, it was horrible. It was like devastating. And I didn't have a clear plan to really process the emotions behind.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
there was a way, and there is a way, okay, to process what's behind these compulsive habits. Okay, and that's, I think, what we're going to get.
Yeah, it's hard because all of these other kind of modalities or methods to try to quit are really focused around just quitting, right? And not really truly who you're becoming. And so what happens is, 2 months, like that's something to celebrate, right? Going from maybe compulsively using pornography all the time to every 2 months, like that should be a huge win. But all you know is that, wow, I just did all this work. I thought I was free, but I just proved that I'm not.
No.
And so it's a failure because you don't know the why, you don't know the answer. And you're trying basically to change a behavior while staying the same person. And so, and you viscerally feel that and you experience that. So you know that it's just this constant fear that you're going to give in again, and you don't know how to stop it, even if it's, the time has spread. I mean, it's really incredible. I think a lot of guys are so hard on themselves. They feel like they have no willpower. Guys, the truth is you actually have a ton of willpower, like more than most people. The fact that you can have such a compulsive behavior and go 2 months without doing it and not fundamentally like fully have changed your identity and the other things we're going to discuss here around it, like you haven't even learned the skills to really manage yourself emotionally yet. You have a ton of willpower. You're just relying solely on that. And if we can get in there and give you some other skills and tools to use, man, things can change. So thanks for sharing that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like the willpower, like if you've been struggling with this habit for, I would say, more than a year, okay, or 6 months, and you can't get out, and you do periods where you resist, you like fight against it, and you're doing well, you have this positive streak, right? That's what you tell yourself. You have a positive streak, you're doing well, you count the days, and then you suddenly fall. You probably have more willpower than 99% of the people around this, because 99% of the people watch porn every single day. Okay, so if you can do that, okay, like even 1, 2, 3 days without it, you already have developed that type of willpower. Only to know when you get into this program that you don't need it. Like, you don't. You probably just need that little, I would say, fire, and that little, I would say, initial motivation to just keep doing, I would say, the first 2 weeks, the work that is being given to you. Okay. But then what will bring you forward is not going to be willpower, is discipline. And then is also the ability for you to process, okay, the emotions that are behind this compulsive habit. At least that's what I learned from the group, and that's what's working for me, which I get, and it's also working for many other people.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what I discovered worked for me.
Yeah.
I mean, just to add so much similarity to you with trying everything. I mean, hundreds of hours of therapy, working with church leaders as well, even on the Christian side of it, because there's a huge, thing hole on the Christian side of it. Man, oh man. And a lot of that just ended up driving a lot of shit for me because I didn't experience the deliverance that I was was promised, right?
Sure.
But I even went to a 2-week inpatient treatment. I spent 12 grand for 2 weeks, and I came home and looked at porn the next day
Sure.
and got caught by my wife doing it,
Okay.
like during the worst time you could possibly
Yeah.
have something like that happen. So, I mean, it really wasn't until I discovered this stuff that I was able to get free. And like, that's why we're doing this. That's why we're teaching it, because you're so much more than you think you are. Like, your behaviors don't define you. You just, you've been trained to use this thing as your primary coping mechanism.
For all your problem, most
Yep.
of the times, for your anxiety. Just give me a second. Here we go. Yeah.
Yep.
And I was grabbing the charger. Here we go. Yeah.
Really, we've been using it as a primary coping mechanism to deal with our emotional stress, anxiety, fear, whatever. And then also, which we can maybe get into as well, is the dishonesty piece. We use that as a coping mechanism too, right? We're trying to survive. And so we really got to start letting go of all the shame and everything around this, because you're just dealing with what you've been handed, and
Yeah.
it is our responsibility to do something about it. But, you didn't choose the cards you were dealt in your life.
I have a lot to say about this.
Yeah. Fire away.
It's gonna be a bit painful, both for me and probably for some people that are at home watching this interview, because most of the things that I'm gonna say are most probably going to be related to the things that are happened to the people at home watching this. So, okay, let me start with a bit of my background. Okay, is something that I'd like to share. So I don't necessarily come from a disaster case scenario family. Okay, so I don't come from like toxic parents, like people that used, I don't know, heroin. Like it's not watching porn and having these sort of habits most of the times are not because you have horrible families, okay, or horrible traumas, okay. I come from an environment, okay, where I was rewarded and punished for the wrong things, okay. So it was almost flipped, okay. So essentially, if in my house, both to my father's side and to my mother's side, my parents, by the way, are divorced, you were punished, okay, if you made a mistake. You were shamed if you were a mistake. Plus, there was a ton of anger, okay, and I would say judgment around little things, like stupid things were put, were like shamed in front of everyone, and they were like made them like as if it was a huge problem that now it was dramatized, okay, like a theater. And
Right.
clearly remember certain moments, okay, where I would be very little, like on the sofa, okay, and seeing my either my parents or my grandparents as well, because it's a chain that comes from generations in my family,
Yep.
fighting, raising their voices, okay, and me thinking that I was a problem. So when you have this sort of environment, what it creates in you is that you think that you are wrong. Like your identity literally gets entrenched with this belief that you have been put in this world, and you are not worth, okay, being into this family. Plus, I have to say, and I know this is, for me, it's a bit painful to share, but I need to do it. I also have parents, I have one in particular, okay, that on multiple times, okay, told me, I know it sounds really, it sounds like a bit, I don't say, non-human, but for a number of times told me, remember, Jacopo, you are a guest in this family. Okay, you will do your family. You are a guest here. So telling a kid, okay, I don't want to enter about the moral, like Okay, I don't want to know the reason of why a grandparent tells me that I am a guest in the family. Okay, I really don't want to know. Just the thing that the problem and the consequence, okay, that the that they create, that people create, is saying something like this to a kid, okay, are huge. Okay, they create
Yep.
a ton of anxiety. I would also say, well, I also have them here on my notebooks. There is like a ton of anxiety, stress, anger. You are angry in that moment and you repress this anger. Okay, it creates shame. Okay, and at that point, in that moment, yes, you want to find a relief, and you want to find it quick. You want this relief to have the maximum effect on you, okay? And you want to possibly escape as soon as possible. And one of the things that, in fact, I clearly remember when I was a little kid is just that I wanted to be successful, grow up as fast as possible, because I just wanted to run away from this environment, okay?
Right.
And at 18, after high school, I just packed, went away, never came back. Okay, um, so that's the background. Okay, that's something that I would say some people have, like in different forms. Some people I know, they had like the father who was something like very rigid, very stoic, very cold, so they never got, I would say, they never received the unconditional love. That
Mhm.
was not necessarily the problem that I had, especially with my mother. My mother was probably the opposite. Okay, so she gave me too much love. Okay, um, but I know that the cause they always have the same effect. Okay, they're not necessarily the same, but they have the same effect. And the same effect
Mhm.
is emotions like stress, anger, shame, loneliness, uh, feeling always that you are, this feeling of not being safe. Okay,
Yes.
okay, that's
Yes.
feeling of that you are in an environment and you are in danger all the time, because you see these people, they fight like, I hate to say that, but like animals. Okay, they
Yep.
fight like literally, like without self-control of any kind. They fight because of their own problem. I don't want to judge that, but, and of course, when you are 7 years old, you are 5 years old, you cannot distinguish what's against you or for you. You just want to feel safe and act like a kid. Okay, so that's the background. Okay, now, one of the things that you're going to learn into the course is that you need to take this background, process this background with certain techniques that into the course you're going to see. One of them being very, very useful. It's a letter that you need to write with certain techniques to your past self, and also a letter to your future self. And then you will be able, that's what I did, to close this chapter. It's closed now. There is no thought of the past, at least, I guess. I'm sure I have a ton of work to do, going forward, but there is not, I don't let, like, if there is a thought about of victimizing myself because my dad didn't look at me, because my dad would forget me at the supermarket, or I don't let it out. I process this and I say, Jacopo, you are in control now. Okay, so you need to close the chapter first, I would say.
Yeah. It's like
Close
you
this
stop
chapter.
believing it,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Stop
Like,
believing. Exactly.
yeah, yeah. Like the stuff comes up again. Like you feel it at times, but you don't believe it anymore. You don't let it dictate your decisions anymore and your automatic reactions. You recognize how you're reacting and responding to what you're thinking and what you're feeling, and you consciously choose what you would like to do instead, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and I want to add the reason of why I'm sharing this, okay, is because I want to tell people that no, you're not alone. You're not the only person that had trauma. Stop thinking that you are unique and you are this unique victim, okay? Many people had the same problem that you had. You need to also grow up from this standpoint, because if you can't think and you think that you are the only guy, I was beaten up when I was a kid, And like, guys, my parents would fight. Okay, I wanted to run away and just go like to the park to not listen to them, and they would close the door, put themselves in front of the door, and tell me, "Stay here. Now you're gonna tell me the opinion that you have about our fight." Like,
Right.
I had these scenarios. Okay,
Yep.
so one of the things that I would recommend to people, you will also need, this is a effort that you need to put on yourself to grow up. Think that there are other people that had the same problem like you, and know you're not unique. Because I think that all of these type of problems also create this sort of victim mindset of thinking that you are the only, you self
Yep.
pedestalize yourself, right? And you
Mm.
think that this is a unique trauma that I had and it's very hard to solve. Well, I'm telling you, I had it, Hunter had it, and many people in the community had problems like this and even worse. Okay.
Right. And to your point, like, you're not alone. Right?
Exactly.
That's the biggest illusion. It's like, if you struggle with pornography, guess what? Join like the biggest population on the planet. You're like the least alone you could possibly be. Like, it's so prevalent, right? So understanding that, a big part of this is we have this negative cognition that says, if other people only knew the truth about me, they'd abandon me. They would leave me. And it could be for all kinds of different reasons, right? If they knew that I struggled with porn, if they knew that I was a dishonest liar, or if they just saw, what was deep down. Obviously, my parents, they believed that I was worthless or not good enough because of X, Y, or Z that happened. So therefore, that must be true. And if other people found out the truth, oh my gosh, they'd leave me in 2 seconds, whether that's intimate partners or whatever. You may push them away before they have a chance to leave you because of this is all just adaptive, reactive responses. And it has nothing to do with your actual worth. It's just you trying to survive. So to Jacopo's point, you have found, because you're actually a very capable person, at such a young age, you started just trying to survive. And you found ways to do it, right? You found things that brought you pleasure, that helped you avoid pain, and helped you to escape temporarily the things that you could not control because you were a child. And that is
Yeah.
not your fault. And now all those beliefs, we need a story to be able to function as human beings. So we tell ourselves these stories just so that we can make sense of the world around us. But the stories you were told were not true. And so you're operating under this false pretense and this false narrative, and you can actually change it. And you're not alone in doing that. There are so many men that are doing the same thing, that are actively doing the same thing, changing, getting real results. They're no different than you. They're no better than you. And there also are a lot of people that are staying stuck in those lies. And it doesn't have to be you. It just doesn't.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, um, yeah, I was also about to add to the initial point that you get rewarded for the wrong things and you get punished for the wrong things. Like, if
mhm.
you make a mistake, okay, and you get harshly punished or verbally abused, okay, of course it's going to create stress, is going to create a perfectionist image, okay, that you're never going to match because you're not perfect, because you are a human, and yes, you do make mistakes all the time, that you will want at some point, if you have this image and this belief about yourself, you will want to self-soothe yourself with something. And now I'm going to tell you, you are not, it's not your fault if you're watching porn, because let's say you are 11 years old, which is the age where I started. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. You're a kid and you're living into this stressful environment. You don't have knowledge, you don't have information, you don't know that porn is harmful. You're just very innocent. Okay.
Yep.
You didn't travel or you didn't make any sort of experience yet. And someone that you trust, or let's say by yourself as well, find a pill, okay, that you just take it and it solves all of these problems, like a tap of a finger, you know,
Yep.
in 1 second or in like few minutes, you will feel better. You will, your stress will be gone. Like you will not worry about the math exam that is about to come in 2 weeks. You will stop worrying about the girl that said no, I don't like you. You will stop worrying about your parents fighting for no apparent reason. Like, okay, everything will be gone. I mean, would you not take it? Of course, I can tell you now, I would take it, and I did. So it's not your fault for you at 25 or 35, 45, 50 years old to not know these things, right? You needed knowledge, which you didn't receive, okay? And so the thing is that, yes, in that moment, it was not your fault. Therefore, even now, it's not your fault, okay? And however, what you need now is to get out from this, okay? Acknowledging that it is a problem, okay? You need to solve it, and you need a process purely because, not because you're bad or because you're different, but because it's fucking 13 years that you're into this thing, or 24 years, or even 40 years for some people. If it's
Yep.
40 years that you've been struggling with whatever habit. I was smoking. I was a smoker, by the way, as well. Okay. I used to smoke 1 pack of cigarettes per day. Okay. If you're struggling, if you're smoking for 40 years, it's entrenched in you. You cannot pretend that by saying, I will never watch porn again, I will never smoke again, you will quit suddenly. Therefore, that's the next point. One of the things that you will learn into the program is that when it happens, you will learn how to not have shame. Guys, I can tell you it's true. It happened to me. I fell one time, I didn't have shame, which was the first time after years and years, okay, that I felt horrible shame. I fell one time, okay, I didn't have shame. Zero. Okay. And it, by the way, I just felt like just right after I watched that module. So it was like a month ago now. Okay. So it's been a month. I'm essentially free. Okay. Since I started the program. Okay.
Mhm.
With you. So, however, I had that fail just, I think, a month ago now, just right at the beginning. And I didn't feel shame. From that point on, I can tell you, I was able to just process the urges when they came. I didn't feel the need, that entrenched and strong need to watch it again. Okay, so that's the second point, that you will need to learn. You will learn literally how to potentially watch it and be fine. That's a huge thing. Okay, so if you watch it,
Yep.
you'll be fine. You will not suffer like with that destroyment of your self-esteem from
Yeah.
the top down. You will not have that. You will keep your integrity because you will be honest with the community and say that what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. And to talk to that point, like that's actually
Hmm.
something that was a massive turning point for me. Was I had actually it was a church leader who had a complete opposite approach of those that I had worked with in the past. And he just
Okay.
told me, just said, Hunter, like we got to take the forbiddenness away from this. Like you're a grown adult. Like you can look at porn if you want to. Like that's your choice.
Yeah.
And if that's what you want to do, like just own it.
It
You
was for
know?
me as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that changed everything for me. That moment changed everything because all of a sudden I was like, holy crap. This, outside in sense of control that I was trying to put on myself, whether it's through internet blockers or through shame, right? Because of all the stories we've been told or the things we think are true, it's really coming from external sources. All of a sudden it was like I have the power back. And that's the point, is we have to get the locus of control back to within you. Right now it's everywhere else, and you're trying to manage other people's emotions. You're trying to manage your own emotions with something external. You're trying to, you know, it's like you're trying to create a new life and a whole new world, but with this really crappy blueprint over here, and it just doesn't work. It's like we have to completely turn what you think upside down and start installing these things, and you will obtain freedom faster than you probably thought was ever possible.
Yeah.
But it's because the way that we have done it up to this point just doesn't work. We have to let it go. You have to let it go. Yeah.
And I was about to connect just to follow a certain timeline. So we close the background chapter, then we get into the shame-free paradigm to like get free from this paradigm of feeling this ton of shame when it happens. And then, like for the people at home, just imagine that. So you close the chapter, your past things, so you will suddenly don't think about the past anymore. Okay, I ask for the people at home to imagine that. So you will be able to stop believing about the things of the past. Then you'll get into the shame-free, and you will be able to, if it happens, not feel any shame at all. Okay, and then from that point where you're essentially free now, you will be able to then learn how to manage the moments where this porn habit kicks in purely because you're conditioned. Okay, and you will manage the moments by moments in the present, on how to get out. And you will learn that, for example, I will make an example that I think it can relate to many people. Like, I know that if I'm on the sofa, okay, and I have my iPhone, okay, and I'm watching YouTube, all right, suddenly, that's what I was saying to my mind. Suddenly I'm watching porn. Suddenly porn is open. Like there is something inside of me that tells me to do it. You will learn that it's not. There is no one telling you anything. You are clicking on the website. You need to understand that. There is no one that is doing anything. You're literally clicking on the website by yourself.
Yep.
Okay, you in the voice that you hear, or the pull that you feel, that pull that you feel here, I know what it is. So the pull that you feel is just a thought that you're having, and you're chatting with this thought. You're having a self-talk with this thought. Okay, which is telling you what to do. And then you answer to him, well, I should not do this because I already, well, but you do it. Then, no, I shouldn't do it. You go back and forth. You're resisting the urge. And because you are resisting the urge, that's the reason of why you're watching this thing at the end. Like, literally, your attempt to not watch porn is exactly the reason that you watch, for why you watch it.
Yes.
Isn't it incredible, right? So an important aspect of the program is to recognize the fact that you, as I was saying, counting the days, doing a cold shower, suddenly all of a sudden you do a cold shower just because you have an urge, or you do 100 push-up, or you stand up and you say, I am not going to do it this time. Like with this strong self-talk prohibition to yourself because you are strong. All right, that's the reason of why you're watching it, right? That's the reason of why you're watching it, man. And the solution to this, there is a solution, is to actually do the opposite. And there are techniques to do this, okay, which are going to be explained. I mean, I can't really explain everything here because if I watch my folder here, there are literally 30 sheets that I completed, okay, with during the program. Okay, so there is work to do. There are answers to questions that you need to self-reflect for a period of time when you do the program. So I can't really explain everything, but what I'm saying is that the general timeline is that you will see the solution is exactly in the problem. Mm-hmm. Okay, the solution is into the question itself. The fact that you're asking, should I watch it? Should I not watch it? But the book, Your Brain on Porn, says that you should do this. But the dopamine is going to spike, then the cortisol is going to go up, and the delta phosphate, and this
Right.
Okay, that's what that questions is the reason of why you watch it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it becomes like this obsession, right? So like a
Yeah.
lot of times we're becoming addicted to the fact that we're addicted.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
true.
so but if you identify as an addict, like you're going to behave like one.
Yeah.
And so and that's really it. Like you have to craft a totally new identity and a new way of looking at yourself and the world around you. And I get that that's overwhelming for people. Like, where the heck do I start? How do I even do that? But it can be done, and it's actually a lot simpler than people think. But the problem with it is that, guys, the behaviors, like, not only is it the coping mechanism, but then we use the behaviors to reinforce what we believe to be true about the world and about what's happened to us. And this will sound crazy, but if you stop looking at porn, then that means that all the things that you thought to be true were not true. And that can be very destabilizing. And I know that sounds crazy because you're like, of course I want to quit porn. Of course I want to change my life. Like, I'm miserable right now. But do you really actually want to let go of those things? Because the misery is what you're comfortable with. It's what you know. And at the beginning, it can be very difficult because you almost can't even picture a world without it. Like, how would I function without it? What would I do? And it can bring up a lot of that anxiety and fear, because not only is it to cope with your emotions, but it does it, like Jacopo said, it gives you that like sense of safety from the things you believe you can't control or handle in your life. What if all that was false? What if you actually can handle everything? Porn you no longer have a need for it. So when you create a new identity and you start actually learning the skills to be able to handle the difficulties of life, then all of a sudden porn just gets displaced. It's just not necessary anymore. And so you then have conscious choice. Like, do I really want to participate in this or not? And it appears, and it's very true, that this is wasting a ton of my time, my energy, my life force. It also, brings up feelings of guilt and shame that are just unnecessary. Maybe makes me isolate my relationship, disconnects me from my partner, doesn't make them feel great. So, it's causing all this collateral damage in your life. Does it really actually have a place or not? But if you believe that you can't survive without it, it will always have a place.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. One of the things that I would like to add to your thought is that it is a decision. Okay. Like you need to, I think, I hate to say that, but I think it's true. So Hunter told me to say the truth. So I will say the truth. So the thing is that you need to be ready to quit. Okay. Like you need to be, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You need to be ready to quit. Like you need to have uh, the work that you're going to do into the program will actually make you ready to quit. You need to be in the spot and in the moment where you say, okay, now I'm going all in on this and I'm going to come out on the other side, okay, having actually faced these emotions that are strong and painful, okay, and I will come out free on the other side. Okay, so one of the things that, for example, in the past calls that we've done in the Ascension, yeah, Hunter said that the freedom that you're seeking is on the other side of that painful emotions that you're experiencing. So that's why we need to learn this processing these emotions. Okay. So one of the things I have a girlfriend, and I've got to say I have a girlfriend who really trusts me. Okay, and she's actually happy that I do this because she knows that she's with a man that she can trust exactly for this reason, right? Because I'm taking the responsibility to solve this thing. And with her, the pillars, I was discussing this with her yesterday on a call. The pillars that we have for our relationship, the fundamentals, are that we need to be honest, we need to be authentic, like do not build this house of cards around your personality, which is something that I am amazingly well to do. So, right, I'm a very good actor, and to have integrity, like literally, if you say something that you're going to do something, just do it. Okay, because you keep this alignment with your words and your actions, and you can build this self-esteem. Okay, and that we much rather we prefer to come at each other and, like, let's say I make always the example with her. If I smoke a cigarette, it's been 4 months that I don't smoke a cigarette. I want to call her, okay, before I go back home and say, hey baby, I am smoking a cigarette because I decided. Okay, see you later, bye. Rather than going back home and her smelling my clothes and feeling that I am smoking a cigarette. Okay, that's I would say, the frame that we had for the relationship. So that was the point to connect to what you said.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe this is a good segue into like the honesty piece. It's just, we seek to hide because it's a survival mechanism. And our ego is so fragile, like we can't handle any kind of criticism because we're constantly like trying to maintain it. We're constantly trying to maintain this like bubble of I'm okay, and everyone else, is going to confirm that I'm okay by me. Really, what you're doing is manipulating all the situations around you. So, for example, like my wife and I have a commitment. Like if I were to view pornography, that I'd tell her within 24 hours.
Okay.
But the temptation is, well, I'll just
To
hide
not
it,
say that.
right?
Sure.
And the thoughts that come in would be things like, she can't handle it, or it's not worth it. It will cause more harm than good. This will just set us back, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? Like the list goes on. But it's that moment that your commitments have to win the day. Like you're not instead of letting these thoughts like consume you and to stop, to believe them, you recognize them through awareness and through like what we teach in the program, right? Through awareness, you can recognize what's really going on so that you can call it out for what it is and say, no, you know what? No, that's not what I'm going to do. Like that's my automatic reaction, my automatic response. What I'm going to do is maintain my integrity, and I'm going to be honest here. And that's difficult because there are real world consequences to honesty. Like in the moment, it can be hard. You can really upset somebody, you can hurt somebody. But if you never face any of the consequences for poor behavior, you can never change. Like that discomfort is the catalyst. That feeling the discomfort is so necessary to be able to make meaningful change. It's like, yeah, that's not what I want. What I want is to stand in integrity, and I want to feel that peace that comes with that. And so anyway, I just that bubble, we're constantly trying to protect that bubble.
Sure.
Because it's that bubble of illusion. And our ego is never able to get stronger when we're just constantly maintaining that. And then when crap does hit the fan in our life, we end up blaming everything else instead of taking ownership. And so that data never reaches our soul.
Oh yeah.
So we can't change.
Definitely.
We can't use it to change because we won't let it in. This is the part, like you said, we need to like grow up, right? Like this is the part that is so hard for people. And I get it, man. It's not easy to look at your weaknesses. It's not easy to look at the things that you're doing that are hurting the people around you. Like that's hard. It's not fun, but you can get better at it. And what's on the other side of that, it's a delayed gratification practice, right? Like porn is like, you don't got to go through any discomfort. You can just feel awesome right now.
Absolutely.
But then you feel like crap afterwards. But we conveniently like forget about that, which is why we got to keep looking at porn over and over and over again, right? Because it's leaving you a void and you're constantly trying to fill it, which is a terrible, vicious cycle. But when you're honest, it sucks in the moment, but then afterwards you feel free and you feel peace.
Yeah.
And especially then when you face the consequences and you move through those things, and then you can repair a relationship. You can actually build intimacy because you don't have all these skeletons in the closet you're trying to cover up.
Exactly. And
All these things. Go ahead.
yeah, the final part, exactly, the final part of the timeline that I was elaborating before. So we closed the chapter, then we got free from the shame, then we know how to process the emotions, and now finally, as you said, you're free to plan ahead. Okay, so you decondition your brain, and now you can plan ahead and see the direction that you want to point. You can you can actually put the fundamentals of your relationship and these sort of rules, okay, and standard that you want to hold yourself to, okay, and you will be successful at it, okay, because you have a process for yourself, as we said before, to really go forward moment by moment, okay. So, and that's the power, I guess the final part in the end, out of all of this program, the final part is when you are finally free from, you watch the program, you got free from this shame, and you know the process, and you're finally able to sit and see the goals that you truly want. You can see the identity and the personality that you want to craft, that successful person that you always had inside, right? You can finally see how to get there. And when you then put into the action to get there, you will see that you can progress, truly progress step by step toward that goal. Okay. And to elaborate on another point, yeah, the delusional thinking and lying and manipulating, I didn't actually express one thing about it. So when you manipulate and when you lie to yourself and you lie to your spouse or girlfriend, whatever it is, you will attract. Okay, so it will be a loop cycle. Okay, so it will be reinforced. It will be a negative cycle that which will out self reinforce. I will give you an example. So I did a period of time, okay, in 2022, where I didn't watch porn for 8 months. Good thing, right?
Right.
Looks amazing on the outside. Like
Right.
you were able to not touch yourself and not watch porn for 8 months, almost a year, and it looks good on the surface. Except that I didn't do the work of getting free, truly free from these beliefs and negative conditioning that I had in my mind. And what happened is that I just found another way to watch porn. I'll give you an example. In 2022, I had 5 girlfriends at the same time. I have no shame in saying that. I had 5 girlfriends at the same time. I told her that I was in a serious relationship with all of them. Okay. I cheated to all of them. Okay. Especially to one, which was a really, like, she was a real woman. Okay. I cheated to her, cheated to all of the other women. Okay. I don't want to judge the moral and the how they were. I can tell you it was a lot of drama, it was a lot of confusion, it was a lot of waste of time, energy. Like it was all about sex, and it was just another like way of watching porn. Why? Because what having 5 girlfriends that you see one each day of the week, okay, you see a different one each day, it's just like watching porn. It's just like scrolling the tube,
Yep.
okay, the
Yep.
same thing. So you're not you I didn't solve the problem. In fact, I didn't have the benefits.
Right.
Like I didn't, even though I was not watching that, I was not having the benefits. That's why it's so important to recognize that it's not porn and to grow up and accept that you need to change your core beliefs and question your beliefs. Because one of the things I've got to say, I've got to say this thing, like watching porn and having all of this problem makes you want to grow up fast. Okay. And the belief of growing up fast, I've got to say, made me very arrogant at certain points. Like, led me to believe that I was entitled to a good life, and I was like because I was the guy that grew up faster than the other kids, I am entitled to get these results quicker than the other people. Okay. So this delusional thinking will make you develop a certain ego, which I certainly had, and will also aggravate the problem, make it deeper. Because when you will need to face those beliefs that you have about yourself, you will not. Okay, it will be harder because you will have this ego. This I had. If you see me in 2022, it would be funny. Like I was this jacked guy with this big chest and like never wrong. God forbid I was never wrong.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
You tell me something, I will tell you the reason of why you are wrong. I'm right. Because I have the proof. I'm living a luxurious life at 22 years old. I have 5 girlfriends. I had a very nice apartment in the city of London. Okay? I was getting good results. I sold a company, okay, at 22. So I could also say, well, what are your results? You're saying something against me. What's your results? I'm not even watching porn for 8 months. You're watching porn. I'm not.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So that's why I'm saying you need to drop these things and grow up. Okay. It will lead you to to a rude awakening if you're not grow up from this standpoint and you
Yeah.
don't question your belief. Like, do you think that you're above everyone else? Well, probably you're wrong. That's what I'm saying, right?
Yep.
So you need to you require this hit in the face to change. Okay.
Yeah, it's this big entitlement thing, right? That's what pornography breeds. It really is just an entitlement and an ego feed. But again, to get beyond that, because you're exactly right. Like we have to face these things, but to kind of come full circle, that is all an adaptive way of dealing with what's actually at the root. Which is
Yeah.
coping with your reality, which is dealing with painful negative cognitions or beliefs about yourself and the world around you, your own personal worth. So you see the ego is very important. Like we need ego to be able to have the confidence to go out into the world and to do anything, right? And to put ourselves out there. Like, but we get this overinflated ego because it's trying to compensate. It's trying to compensate for a sandy foundation, right? And so really you see a lot of people that exude this mass amount of confidence and domination when really they're the most insecure people on the planet. And the ego has to be this big, huge thing over here because it's compensating for this weak foundation and it's terrified. And the ego's job is to protect you, is to keep you safe. So what we're doing in the program, really at the end of the day, we're helping you recognize and understand what got you here. Where did you come from? Right? Why do you think and believe the way that you think and believe? And then we're helping you understand and see I call it the adaptive child, right? The adaptive and reactive ways that you use just to cope with reality and to survive. Okay, we're just going to call the kettle black. There's no shame in it. This is just what you've done to adapt. And we can thank that part of you for helping you survive because it did, right? It did. But now those things are chasing you into your adult life and causing problems. So then on the other side of it, what we're doing is helping you consciously craft and create a new identity, who you truly desire to be. And it's coming from within you, helping you discover that and craft it. And that will evolve over time, of course. But then the practice, the daily practices, is helping you stay in the ring with that man more and more and more. That empowered, encouraged, confident self that's truly confident, right? Because he's standing in integrity. He knows what he wants. And so when you have difficult moments and that old self just wants to come to the surface and control you and dictate all of your decision making and call the shots, through our daily practice, you're plugged into this battery, this power source, this man, and you're saying, whoa, hold on. Whoa, right? You're wrapping your arm around that weak, scared, child part of you that's saying everything is going to crap and we better do something right now or we're going to die. Because it's like, it's not true.
Sure.
It's just not true. And you're saying, I got this. I got you. We're okay. We can, we're feeling a lot of stuff, but we can handle it. And this is why, because we're going to look at all these tools and skills we have. Like, we know how to nurture ourselves now. We can take care of business over here. And I got this. Like, I'll take the reins. It's going to be all right. And even when you have crappy days and you feel bad, you're still able to stay anchored to the man you desire to be. And you stand tall with your shoulders back regardless, and you move forward towards your ideal life, right?
Exactly. And and another point is that when you said that you've got, let's say, this urge or this adaptive self that comes out, right, and start to scream at you to say or do something, you need to recognize that ego and arrogance side of you, let's say it's the arrogance comes out. Just to take one example, you need to recognize that you don't have to beat this part of you. You don't have to resist or fight back to this part of you, to this arrogance or to this urge, to this urge to smoke cigarettes or whatever it is. You don't have to say no, resist it. It's like a little child, literally. It's like coming to you, and you need to comfort this side and accept it. Accept it's a part of you, and it needs to be nurtured rather than
not a monster.
No, it's not. Exactly. It's not the demon that you think you have a demon inside. I know one of the things that I was thinking about before the program is that there is this little demon inside of me, right? That just comes out and just tells me, Jacopo, smoke a cigarette today, right? Like these things, you need to recognize it's not a bad part of you. It's actually a really good part that was not nurtured enough. That's why it's asking and requiring these escapes.
Yep. It's like a child, that has negative behaviors. Everyone's pissed off at that kid and it's like, that's the problem kid. What's wrong with him? Really, most of the time they're starving for attention and they're not getting it in positive ways. So they're finding another way to get their needs met, And so it's the same thing with this part of ourselves. It's just trying to tell you something. It's trying to tell you that you're scared, that you're in pain, that there's unresolved issues or the anxiety that comes up. Anxiety is trying to motivate you to do something and to make meaningful change in your life. It festers and builds when you never listen. So by never listening, it's created what seems to be this monster, this demon that's bigger than you, that's more powerful than you. But you're just disconnected from the roots of why it's behaving that way, right? And if you get to those roots, you realize it's actually a very small, scared little child, right?
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time, it's like, what's your first gut reaction when you see a little kid that's scared? Or me as a dad, when one of my children is terrified or scared, you grab them and you hug them, you hold them, It's nurturing. You don't shame them and yell at them and scream at them for being scared. And if you do, well, there's something wrong with that because then you need to change that, right? Because it's not helpful. You nurture. And it's the same thing within you. Now, that doesn't mean that all of a sudden magically your urges to view porn just go away. But that's why we have the skills on the other side to be able to confront those. Yeah.
They won't. I mean, I don't know if people think that in the short term, at least. I mean, they won't.
Yeah.
Okay. I am sure at some point it will look like, I guess, like smoking cigarette for me is 4 months. I really don't have at this point any sort of temptation, I would say. But the short term they won't. Forget about it. But that's exactly why you need to learn how to process these things. Okay. Just because the rare moments, let's say they come, like me, I don't have a lot of urges. Okay. I'm not that guy that it's in the beginning that has like 10, 15 urges per day. Right. I have probably one every 2 weeks. or two, I would say, 2-3 per week. Let's start 2-3 per week. One strong, 2 weak. Okay.
Yep.
So when you have this situation, you will need to learn to process, because it's the processing that will then lead to not having them anymore. Okay. But really, people at home, they should not focus on eliminating your urges. They're not, if they don't get the point. They will learn into the program that trying to eliminate urges is not the point. It's awareness of yourself and of your emotions that is the point.
Yep.
Okay. You need to be aware of when you are not uncomfortable, because most of the times, people that have these sort of habits, call them addictions, call them whatever you want, just that they are strongly attached to a certain habit, they are not comfortable with themselves, with their inner spiritual self. Okay. So they don't recognize when they are exaggerating, or they are not doing enough of a sort of activity. Like, one thing I'm sure about myself is that I cannot recognize well when I'm very stressed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if I am very stressed, I can keep on going for months to then arrive at some point where I completely explode. Okay.
Right.
And I go down for 2 weeks. I am totally unproductive. Okay. So, but that's because these porn things and these type of habits, they cloud your judgment about yourself. Okay. So the process and mastering your emotions and being able to process this with the technique that is being taught into the program is really about, okay, in these moments, like activating your prefrontal cortex. You are on the sofa, okay, you have YouTube open, so you suddenly have a urge. The process is actually stopping yourself and say, okay, where am I? On the sofa. What am I doing? I'm watching YouTube. What usually happens when you watch YouTube? That I would probably have an urge. Okay, is there something that what are you gonna do now? Okay, now I'm going to take my phone, put it on the table, stand up, watch my agenda or my calendar, see what I should do and what I need to do, and I'm gonna do it. Like, you give a plan, or I should go out, make groceries, and prepare for the dinner. So what am I gonna do now? Because I have these goals, okay, I'm gonna put the phone here, I'm gonna stand up and go out, right? Yes. Okay, you stand up, you do it, go out. And so you give this sort of executional task to yourself. Okay, you give these executive functions needs to be activated in your brain for you to really ground yourself and be able to avoid falling into this urge. I say avoid because you're processing. You're actually accepting it. You're not avoiding it. It's exact that you're actually allowing in this way. That's how you allow the urge to be experienced in you, okay, and transformed into something productive.
Right.
That's I would say, I don't know if people have read the book Think and Grow Rich, the sexual transmutation chapter 11.
Mm-hmm.
Still remember. So that part, that's the real sex transmutation. When you do have the urge and you allow it, and then because you allow that, you can transform that into a productive activity.
Right. Instead of resisting it and fighting it off,
exactly,
you're allowing it to be processed within you and, like you said, transmuted or changed into power.
Yeah.
And then you're consciously directing it into your life. And it's incredible. I mean, that really is just such a massive secret to totally transforming your life. And I think maybe we'll end with that. Is just this resist and react cycle that you're caught up in. It needs to be unplugged and thrown in the garbage. It doesn't work. The more you resist, the more it fights back. And so what Jacopo is saying is you're learning to allow yourself to fully feel it. And I get it. That's scary because you've seen yourself give in time and time again. So you think that the urge itself is the problem. but it's not. By giving in time and time again and resisting it, you just haven't been able to get in the ring with the actual skill of being comfortable being uncomfortable, right? And breathing through that urge and seeing it for what it is and nurturing yourself, and then staying connected to who you truly want to be and plugging into that. And guys, there are going to be times where you're trying and you're really building that new identity, and you could be doing all those things right, and you're still going to make a mistake. You're still going to give in to those urges at times. Okay, that's fine. But we work at it as a progression. So, like Jacopo is just saying, like, you know, you have the three urges in a week, right? A strong one and two weaker ones. But there are guys that it's like every 10 minutes is basically an urge. I mean, it's hardcore for some of you. And so with that, look, if you're looking at pornography for 6, 7, 8 hours a day, but then now through this process, all of a sudden you get to a point where you're looking at it once per week, or maybe it's twice per week. That's huge shift.
Huge progress. Fucking hell, man.
Yeah, massive progress. And so we celebrate that progress. And then when you do give in, that's the gold. If you just shut it down or run away from it, we miss the opportunity to learn. Okay, cool. You made a mistake. Sure. Like, that's not in alignment with the man you want to be. What happened? What was going on in your head? What was the narrative? What were the emotions? What were the sensations in your body? What ritual led you to that? Like, were you up too late watching Netflix? And is that a problem area for you? Okay, well, now we know. Like, what is the data that comes along with this? And then learn from it, and we get back up and we try again. Like, if you think that you're going to implement all these things and then be perfect, that's setting yourself up for failure, like real, true failure. But if you make a mistake along the way, that does not determine whether you're a failure or not. Like, learn and move on. Let's get back up, let's get back in the ring, and let's practice the skills, because you just need more practice. That's it. So if you can have some tenderness and kindness with yourself and just understand that, like, these are skills I was not taught. I was not given these, and it's new. I just need more practice. Have grace, let go of the shame, get back up, go again. You're going to get there. And it's the same thing with honesty, the urge to lie. It's the exact same thing. The urge to go and smoke, the urge to go and drink, the urge to just watch YouTube videos instead of getting anything done during the day. Like, I don't care what the urge is. You can then address the rest of your life the same way.
That's a very powerful thing that you've said in the beginning, at the end, because I was about to say, can I give a last bonus for the people?
Yes.
Last thought. So for the people at home, don't for 1 second think that it's just that you're going to improve only on the porn aspect, because it's not. And I have a practical example, literally a measurable and practical example for the people at home. So I run a business, okay? It's into the financial sector industry, okay? We build models, essentially, that we utilize for some of our clients and for people on the outside. We also sell them. We plan to sell them, but at the moment we're using them for ourselves. We basically use them to invest the proprietary capital of some of our clients. Okay, so before the program, I was very rigid, okay, as a person. So this rigidity and this very tightness into my personality would reflect also in my work. So the models that I would run were very rigid. It's because my personality would think that it's good to be rigid, because you have to be tight, you have to be strict, okay? Then during the program, I experienced the fact that a good change that I could bring to my beliefs would be to become more fluid, more malleable, more flexible, okay? And all of a sudden, I caught myself finding that I would do models, okay, of risk, especially about risk, that were more flexible, more malleable, more fluid, okay? I will not get into the details, but you will see that this will be reflected. Okay, what happened? The last month, I had I had the best month that I probably ever had in my life in terms of profit. So I'm
Mm.
not joking. Like I'm still talking about real change in terms of profit into the business result for the investors in this case.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I'm saying is that everything that you are going to find. So if you want to quit porn, okay, and if you really want to, I would say, change this habit, expect change also in other areas. And yes, you are going to find materials that exactly for the reason that you're going to that are going to be reflected into the all aspects of your life are going to be new and are going to improve all the aspects of your life. So what I'm saying is that the material that you're going to find is different by definition. Okay, because if I've changed in this way, in a dramatical and powerful way in 1 month, is because I didn't read it on Your Brain on Porn or on some no-fap website on the internet. No judgment against them. It just didn't work for me and for the majority of the people. So the information that you're going to get, you can do this thing by yourself, okay, if you think so. Just know that you are on your way for a rude awakening. You might find yourself after 6 years, okay, still being there struggling, okay, purely because your ego told you to solve it by yourself and don't tell anyone. Wake up, okay? As I said, grow up. Life just doesn't go in your way just because you want to. Maybe you need help and you need to put that ego aside.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I love it. No, I appreciate you sharing that
Okay.
because that's
Thank you.
it's really it. If you want your marriage to get better, if you want your parenting to get better, if you want your business to get better, if you want yourself to feel better and more confident and proud of what you've built in your life, and you're tired of watching things just come crashing down to the ground all the time, or feeling like something's missing, like you're capable of more but it always slips through your fingers, like it has to start in here. And if you can't do that on your own, well, guess what? I wasn't able to.
Sure.
Like it's
Yeah.
not easy work, but when you have a path to follow and you're united with people that are can be real and be authentic and be open, and so don't feel so alone. You're not this weird broken person. You're on the same path that we're on as normal everyday men trying to figure these things out. It's really encouraging. And then you can get that support needed to implement these things that will produce the desired outcomes in your life. And
Exactly.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, maybe some people, I guess, like they're not ready to, I would say, they might have tried like 10 different programs or to read all the books that they don't trust initially
Right.
to get into ascension. Okay. But that's why there is the free group, I guess, because at least you can have a taste of what's this program.
Yep.
Okay. Like if you don't trust what we said, or like you have a problem, you want to have a clearer picture, just hop into the, I would say, free group and see, okay, with your eyes. Just text me, I don't know, whatever, but just experience with your eyes other people that had success, and then you can make the big decision of getting into ascension. It's not an obligation,
Right.
okay? Like, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, so to throw that little plug in there is we have a free community. It's called the Porn Free Brotherhood. There'll be a link around this video. You can easily find it, but there's over 300 men in there right now. We have a free 30-day challenge, which is not a 30-day sobriety challenge. It's not go without porn for 30 days. That is not what it is. It's a 30-day challenge. It takes 10 minutes or less per day that will help you understand what's going on in that adaptive reactive self and help you plug in to that functional adult.
Yeah, there is a
And
one guy into the live, Pasky, like who said, "Thank you, Jacobo and Hunter, very helpful." Yeah, thanks to you, man, to be here. You
oh
made
yeah.
yourself a favor.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I can't even see the chat.
I can see Pasky. He's
Awesome.
here. Or
Yeah.
I think he, yeah.
Yeah, really glad you're here, man. If there's anybody else in the chat, thank you for showing up here today, showing up for yourselves. And man, this has been awesome. Yeah, I apologize. Oh yeah, here we go.
In live stream chat, yeah.
Yep. Cool.
Okay.
Dude, this has been good. I'll stop the recording, but yeah, for anyone watching, we'd love to have you in the community. Come join us. We'll talk to you later.